So, ladies and gentlemen, okay, here is the state topper Kiran, and we are happy that he has taken time for interacting with the students. So, it is not common every day that you get to interact with the topper directly. Okay, so thank you, Kiran, for coming.
Good afternoon, everyone. Just a brief introduction before we start off the session. Um, my name is Kiran Kamate. I have secured All India rank 53 this year in UPSC CSE. I've given 6 consecutive attempts. So this was my 6th and final attempt at the UPSC CSE. I've written 3 mains, one in 2022, then at 24 and 25. 22 means I could not clear it, so I had to do it again. So 24 prelims again I failed to clear. So 24 and 25. 24 I reached till the interview stage. Then I missed out on few marks. Then I had to redo it again, and 25 I finally cleared this exam with a 2-digit rank. So that was my brief intro. Then how was your prelims? I think let's start with that. How was your prelims? Lengthy. Okay, one word, lengthy. Any other? Unconventional. Absolutely. Matte? Anything else? Urdur bardila? Have not written? Huh? Main stoppers? Yes, main topics were asked. Yes, pub and ethics. Okay. Okay, this session will be, I'll be taking the GS2 session, GS3 tomorrow. So this will be an exclusively for mains. It is helpful for both those who are writing mains this time, and also in general for the mains preparation as well. Because I feel that UPSC preparation is mains preparation. When you say I'm preparing for UPSC, it is mains preparation, it is not prelims preparation. Prelims is a subset of mains preparation, and I feel that if you have done your mains preparation well, there is chances that you would do your prelims also better than an average candidate. So with that I'll start off. It is 2:30. So also GS2 and GS3 were my strengths in general. I did not like writing GS1 much. Yesterday Sandeep sir took it. You've attended anyone yesterday's session? Sandeep sir took it. Okay. GS4 again was my strength. So 2, 3, 4 were my strength. Essay was I was very comfortable, and my option is political science and international relations. So that is why I felt that GS2 I could do better than any other person. So I'll take this. My approach to this is not a very typical like GS2 session that I'll be taking. The foundation, you will learn a lot of things. That is where most of the things you will write. This is strictly an answer writing session. No nonsense, only answer writing. I will only be helping with answer writing and nothing, not about the content, not what resources to find, what I'll do the value addition part. So only answer writing and value addition. What actually works in the answer hall, answer writing sessions. So we are strictly doing how to do answer writing for GS2, how to do value addition, how to basically improve your answers from a very average answers to good answers or very good answers. So that would be my contribution in this session. So we'll start off without wasting much time. GS2 decode, like this is how we'll approach. We'll go through the PYQs. Then based on the PYQs, we'll understand what are the micro themes of GS2. Then based on the, once we have identified themes, the themes that are recurring every now and then we'll go through some answer writing frameworks. So after the frameworks, once the framework sets in, that's when your answer writing actually begins. So this is me, Kiran Kamate, All India rank 53 this year. So first of all, I would say, like, who feels GS2 is a difficult one? GS2 is difficult for me. Who feels that? Yes. Very good. Honestly, yes. I like the honesty here. Yes. Anyone else? Of all the 4 papers, yes, GS2, yes. So, what are the reasons according to you? Why do you feel GS2 is difficult with respect to other papers? Why do you feel it is the difficult one? You can tell. Mentioning articles and constitutional provisions. Okay, anything? Interrelate the topic. Okay, anything from your side? Okay, the IR part you find it difficult. You have anything to add? Tackling the demand of the question. Okay. Anything, any other doubts here? So that we can, I can inculcate that. Okay, these are like, you have broadly covered most of the things. So usually like I have summed up based on my own analysis as well. Vast and dynamic syllabus, that is the dynamic syllabus IR part, as you mentioned, it's a dynamic part. And even in polity, it's not like you're reading M. Lakshmikant and questions from M. Lakshmikant are coming in. So M. Lakshmikant is nowhere helping in mains. Let's be honest with that. I think if you accepted that part, I think it will be easy for me and easy for you also. Unpredictable question, yes, you can predict. Initially it feels unpredictable, but you can actually predict questions here. Too much current affairs, yes, that is also there. But the fact of the matter is, the uncomfortable truth, this is what I feel, this is not the real problem. The real problem is, it's about a fundamental misunderstanding of what UPSC actually wants from you. And I think demand of the question, someone said here, I think that is the real issue in GS2. What is the real demand here? A question on governor comes and we know that it is not on governor per se. Governor is just a trigger point here. The question will be on something else. So first and foremost, information versus interpretation. I think most of us, because we'll be reading Lakshmikant or any other mains GS2 notes, we will have the information. And even with a lot of current affair magazine, we will be having some information of GS2 current affairs as well. But the problem is of interpretation. Knowing information is one part, having knowledge about a particular topic is one part, but actually interpreting it in the on the paper, on the exam day is the real struggle. So my students treat current affairs as an end in itself. Like I will read the current affairs and I'll maybe directly get a question on that. This is not how GS2 questions actually work. And you end up accumulating a lot of facts, data, events, etc. But UPSC uses current affairs as a lens to test your understanding of these various themes and issues. So it is not the current affairs. What happens, like for example, you see issues with the governor and the CM happening, and that is not the that might be the news, but that is not going to help you anyway. That is just a trigger point. Now your focus should be on what is the constitutional conflict here. That is the underlying issue, and that is what is UPSC is expecting. So there is no use of you following a lot of these masala news on which governor is doing what, which governor did not read the complete speech of the government, etc. That does not really matter. The student who interprets outscores the student who merely informs. So this I feel that ultimately my message is that information is just one, it is needed, but it is not going to actually help you in answers. There is a difference between information and interpretation, and that is what we will be discussing this today. Then what is really GS2 about? So most students see it as constitution, governance, welfare schemes, international relations. This is the broad picture, but the real issue is institutions here. Institutions, governance, public outcomes and strategic interests. when I look at constitution, we have you seen any questions directly coming on constitution? It will be on the various institutions of the constitution. For example, you have the CAG, you have the judiciary, you have the this is the full page. Okay. So you have the CAG, you have questions on CAG, you have the question on Solicitor General, you have a question on various institutions like the Information Commission, the CBI, CVC, and various other institutions which we see in the later half of M. Lakshmikant. Then there is governance part, then there is public outcomes. Nowhere question on directly about a scheme comes. The usually question is about how the scheme has played out, what are its issues with the scheme, what is it targeting, what are the flaws in it, and what are improvements that can be done. So you have to understand this. Then international relations, the question will never be directly about India, China, it will be about the strategic interests. So last year, even in 2025 mains, there was a question on the oil economy and India versus India's interest in the West Asia. So and how it is affecting the oil economy or etc. So the questions and India Africa strategic interests. So just mugging up a lot of facts does not really help you. So you have to understand the strategic interest. This is what we will understand. So the 4 pillars of GS2 is polity, then governance, then social justice and international relations. This is the broad outlook. So in polity we are looking at how institutions are designed to function. In governance, how the state actually delivers. So you have to understand what is governance. Basic definition is the capacity of the state or the state capacity to deliver outcomes. That is governance. Social justice is whether outcomes actually improve the citizens' lives. Then international relation is India's strategic interests and diplomatic ties globally. UPSC does not ask topics. The topics are like governor, judiciary, health schemes, education policy, China relations. But what actually UPSC asks in the mains is, the topic might be governor, but the questions that it asks is related to federalism and center-state relations. Directly, even if the question uses the word governor somewhere, it is not about governor per se. It is hinting at federalism and center-state relations. Then question on judiciary comes, the question will evolve on judicial independence and judicial accountability. So question comes on judicial review. So it is basically asking about the judicial independence and also looking at separation of powers, etc. and various other things. So you have to understand the underlying theme here and not just the topic. Similarly, health schemes, question does not directly come about the health particular scheme. As I mentioned earlier, it will be about the gaps in those schemes and how it can be improved. And then same goes with I've taken an example of China relations here. So it will be about strategic competition and Indian national interests. So once you identify the recurring problem, like you start understanding that this topic is much broader than they have asked, then that is when you will start writing better. So I feel that once you understand, stop looking at topics very narrowly. Because when you look at topics very narrowly, you feel that I have nothing more to write here except constitutional provisions or some notes from the M. Lakshmikant itself. So my point is that you have to understand the what UPSC actually wants to ask. So we will do this in detail, so we will understand. Every question has 3 layers. So every question will have 3 layers. The first is the current affairs. You can take any GS2 current affairs. Let's say 142 and 143. The 142 is about the speedy justice, about the passing such orders and that it does complete justice. So complete justice 142, it's a overhauling article. 142 is like it goes beyond the restrictions of the judiciary. Now judiciary, there is something called as the separation of powers, and when and the judiciary has its own limited sphere of influence, and let's say when it invokes article 142 to do complete justice, it breaches those separation of powers and goes beyond it. You have lots of examples for it. Vishaka guidelines, you have the guidelines on euthanasia, etc. Lot of other examples. So the immediate news trigger will be like article 142, and the Supreme Court has done this. That will be the news. Then you have to understand the micro theme of it. So context linking to the syllabus area. Now where does this topic link to the syllabus? You have to map that. So this comes under the judiciary part. Then you have the bigger picture, which is core issue, underlying concept UPSC is actually testing. So as I discussed earlier, the underlying concept here was article 142, separation of powers, how it is breaching the checks and balances, and how it is going beyond its sphere of influence. Is it right, wrong, way forward? Now this is how you have to be thinking about every topic. You take delimitation, think again of the same delimitation, now linked it to a broader topic like elections or Indian democracy or parliament representation, and then the core issue here is you have to understand it is related to the difference in the distribution of north and south, its impact, positive of delimitation, negative of delimitation, and then the way forward, the suggestions or reforms to balance the interests of both north and south. So this is how you have to look at every single topic. So every question UPSC sets follows this structure. The current affairs is merely the trigger point, it's only a entry point. So you are not focusing on the trigger point, you are not focusing on which governor did what to a particular CM, or which two CM and governor fighting. That is not the point of contention here, that is only a trigger point. What you should be understanding is the center state balance, the role of the governor, the non-partisan role of governor, and how he is not following that constitutional fidelity, etc. Then same for any other malnutrition. You have every year there will be a question on malnutrition, on education, in social justice. Same goes with any other IR question. So I'll give you a broad framework for GS to answer. So this will be helpful in brainstorming. So this is just a limited one. There are plenty of brainstorming frameworks. This is a broad framework that will help you initially to generate points. So first you define the problem clearly. Let's say I'll again take the issue of governor. So the central problem is here of governor, his role, and the context. You set the context. Initially, for example, the definition, you can start off with an article 152 or 153, but if you exactly know the context, the trigger point, you can directly use that as an introduction. So that will set your answer differently from the rest. So I usually don't advise the definition based introductions. It's a I feel a very primitive way of answer writing. Initially you can start off, those who are just starting off, but later on you have to understand that definition based introduction are very raw, very simple. You are not bringing anything new there. So if you bring a current affairs context in that has happened recently, that will add more value, and the evaluator feel that this candidate understands the topic better than the others. He does not just look at it as a theoretical theme, rather than he understands the context of the theme. Then you write the structural causes for it. So for example, in the governor question, you can say why the center and the state, or the governor and the state conflict. What are the various reasons? You identify the systemic drivers, you examine the institutional setup. For example, if you understand why the governor role is such, then you will also understand why he acts in a certain way. So he is called as the agent of the center. He is called as the like even a rubber stamp, just like the president or any other thing, or how historically his position was inserted into the Indian setup. This is structural causes. So the issue, if you go behind it, is the causes. If you move towards it, it is called as the implications. So you understand and examine the causes here. Just write 2-3 points of that. Then this is the implications. The question will mainly be about the implications. Now, what happens if a governor is acting in a partisan way? Those are the implications. You can generate a lot of points here: constitutional impact, social impact, economic impact, the strategic consequences to the Indian democracy, to parliament, to the legislature, to lawmaking, to the policy making, etc. So you write the implication. Then you propose the way forward, where you propose a lot of recommendations, reforms, etc. You can come in with a lot of committees like the Punchi committee, Punchi committee, or the Sarkaria committee, or the recent Tamil Nadu committee that was created that you can quote, etc. Why this framework works? Again, I will tell you the same. It is not just that you are dumping information. That article, I'll drop an article from M. Lakshmikant and I'll drop some information, basic information that is available in M. Lakshmikant. You are not going just scratching the surface. You are actually understanding the problem through this broad framework. Then, so basically, the issue, causes, implication, and solution. These two, I feel, is the major requirement of every answer. Every answer, you have to look at the implications and the solutions part. No matter what the question is, even if they've explicitly asked what are the solutions for this problem, you mention it explicitly. Then implications part is the core of it. Causes and implication will be the core of it. Solution will be the way forward type. Issue will be the context and introduction. So this is how, if you structure it, you will be able to do it. 2 approaches, 2 outcomes. Average aspirant will look at the syllabus, make notes, and add current affairs. That's it. Good answer will, what he will be doing is, he will do reverse engineer. Now he will look at the PYQs. He will look at the PYQs and he will identify some micro themes like governor, judiciary, electoral integrity, elections, institutions, etc. Then he will make framework for each of those, and then he will start writing answers. That is when your answers will actually start making sense. See, polity focuses on constitutional conflicts. Earlier questions would be just on fundamental rights, on the role of governor or judiciary, etc. But currently the questions are about constitutional conflicts. For example, if judiciary is doing something, for example judicial review or judicial activism, how is it conflicting with the doctrine of separation of powers? Or fundamental rights, you have a right to protest, then how it is conflicting with the right to movement of other citizens. So recently the questions have been more analytical. It is focusing on the constitutional conflicts. Then governance is about delivery bottlenecks. You can go through the 2025 paper, we'll discuss later. A lot of questions this year were on delivery bottlenecks. How schemes, what are the issues in the policy schemes, and how there is a gap between the policy objectives and the reality on ground. Social justice is about the structural deficits. IR on strategic themes. So you have to start looking at from this approach. The GS2 roadmap ahead, we've discussed this earlier. Polity, it tests the constitution conflicts. Governance, it tests the delivery capacity of the state. Then social justice is how it tests human development outcomes like health, poverty, education. Then international relation, it tests India's strategic interests, etc. Most aspirants see this as 4 separated subjects, but toppers see it as one paper with 4 manifestations of the same idea. How institutions create outcomes. You have to look at outcomes and the role of institutions, then you will start making sense. micro themes topic PDF. You can I've shared with sir. I'll put it on my group also. I've already put it on my group. You can go through this. It's for the entire GS 1, 2, 3, 4. Today we'll be focusing on GS 2 only. So for GS2 Polity, Governance, Social Justice and IR, very good document. Please go through this once. For Polity, we'll start off with uh, from 2013 to 2025. They have mapped every question here and based on themes, based on subject, based on theme. So illi first topic in Indian polity, Indian constitution, historical underpinnings, etc. So they have mapped every micro theme here based on amendments, case laws, the year is here, the marker, everything is here. So you can go through this very important document. Then you will understand. The key is you have to go through the PYQs, then reverse engineer everything. Only then you are basically understanding what really UPSC wants, and not just that you start reading end to end without any limits to it. So constitutional morality, repeated theme every year. Even this year, the first question was that. So here, based on case laws also, every year there will be why case laws are important. You will understand when you go through this. Every year, the alternate year, there will be a question directly on case laws. So you have to mention a lot of case laws, judgments, etc. Then fundamental rights, you can just look at it every year, a lot of questions. Then functions, responsibilities of the union and the states, again it is mapped based on micro themes, emergency, special provisions. Federalism, look at the questions on federalism. UPSC's most favorite topic in GS2. Lot of questions on federalism every single year. It is like non-negotiable. You cannot leave this and go to GS. If you can observe 25, 24, 23, in 2020 there were 2 questions. So every year there will be a question on federalism. And as I mentioned earlier, question directly will not be of federalism, but it will be, the trigger event will be governor, and how that event triggers a much larger theme. Then separation of powers, again huge number of questions every year. Executive versus legislature, separation of powers, you will have a lot of questions here. Then this is again a very favorite topic of UPSC, devolution of powers, the urban local bodies and the Panchayat Raj. Lot of questions every year, 24, 23, 22, 20, 19, 18. So if you see, every year there will be a question on Panchayat Raj. You cannot leave this topic. Then comparison of Indian constitutional scheme with others. Every year there will be one question comparing Indian constitution, some institution or some part of constitution with other. Last year it was the pardoning powers of presidents of US and India. Then parliament and state legislature. You will have some examples here. This again is a very important parliamentary committees question. So you will be preparing about parliament in M. Lakshmikant, but questions will be on parliamentary committees, then parliamentary privileges, etc., role of MPs. So you have to change the way you look at GS2. M. Lakshmikant is just a base here that will nowhere help you in mains. Mains you have to understand the issues, the themes. Then only you have to prepare based on those themes. Then executive and judiciary, again you have a lot of questions on judiciary here, the alternate dispute resolution models, then pressure groups. This year I think this and one more question was there on pressure group. Tribunals, this year again there was a tribunal, this was a long pending question. This was the rationalization of tribunals in 2021. So that judgment, it was 5 years to this judgment, or 5 years anniversary of some event related to tribunals. That is why the question was here. Attorney General 2025 and 2019, the same question here. So that is why you have to do PYQs. Questions will be of same things, like he has only changed the wording, everything is same. So you cannot do your preparation without PYQs. Representation of People's Act, I feel most people actually feel it very difficult, but this is a very simple topic to prepare, and you can do well here. Again, the type of questions revolve around the same topic because it's a very limited topic, but the wordings keep changing every alternate year. You can go through this. Electoral reforms, very important topic last year because one nation, one election was very important in 2024. It was a much expected question and directly was a hit. Then political parties, you can, anyone with PSI are optional here. PSI are optional. Yes, I think they will be in much more advantage in GS2. Appointments to various constitutional posts here, constitutional bodies. Again, this is what I was talking about. It asks about institutions. It is not just about some current affair topic, but about the institutions and what are the flaws in it, how is it working, what are the way forward or recommendation. You always have to think in only these 3 lines. So you have the CAG, the National Commission for Backward Classes, 14 Finance Commission, Finance Commission, CAG 2018, CAG directly again 2024. So if you just do answer writing for the last few years, at least I would say 2015 onwards, you will cover a lot of things. See here, 13 Finance Commission, 14 Finance Commission. Most of the things will remain same. CAG here again. You have CAG. In just last 10 years, there are 3 to 4 times CAG has repeated. So you have to just reduce the time and effort and do smart preparation. Then regulatory bodies, statutory bodies, you will come through a lot of statutory bodies here. This was 25 protection, National Commission for Protection of Child Rights. Every year there will be Women Commission or Competition Commission last year, Human Rights Commission. This is again very, there will be a trigger point because it will be in news for some event, but you have to understand the underlying theme. The structure for all of these, especially the statutory bodies, will be the same. Issues with it, what are the what is the structure it is, how is it functioning, what are the issues with the body, what are the reforms and way forward. Governance, we'll discuss this later. So this is how you go through this PDF. It's an excellent compilation. I've shared it on my Telegram group. So we'll start with the first module. I've divided it into 4 modules. We'll take roughly about 15-20 minutes each module, and then we'll do a Q&A of it. GS2 polity, I feel polity is the most predictable part. I think most will agree here. GS2, okay, polity will be the most predictable part. Then UPSC doesn't ask polity definitions. What is federalism, fundamental rights, separation of powers, what are some constitution. Again, this would be the trend 10 years ago and not now. Now we are expected to do do more, and I'll be very honest, we are expected to do far more than what people were expected 10 years before. Now what UPSC actually tests is judicial accountability, activism, constitutional morality, as we saw in the PYQ analysis, electoral integrity, lot of questions on RPA 1915, 1951, electoral reforms, etc. Democratic institutions under stress, cooperative and competitive federalism, UPSC's most favorite keyword, please be using. Again, the shift from definitions to constitutional conflicts is the single biggest insight for mains. That is what I've been emphasizing. You have to understand the constitutional conflicts. 6 pillars of polity, you have constitution, judiciary, constitutional bodies, parliament, federalism, electoral reforms. These are the recurring themes. You have to understand that everything, every time you look at a topic, you look at from this perspective. These are the 6 pillars. Every topic you look at it, map it, where does it fit in? Now there was an article today on right to be forgotten in The Hindu on the left side. Now where will this fit in these 6 pillars? Huh? Yes, fundamental right, it will come here. So there's a question on, we were talking about article 142 earlier, where will it fit in here? Judiciary. I talk about BCCI and its reforms, where will it come? It will come here, parliaments or reforms, etc. Mostly it will be around the constitutional bodies, etc. Now there is a question on delimitation. It will be coming on electoral reforms, on electoral funding, state funding of elections. It will be here. On federalism, governor. The topic might be governor, but the theme will be federalism. You have to understand the theme, the larger theme, and not just that particular event. So this is how you have to look at. Then the polity micro theme universe, I will call it. You have the constitution, judiciary, parliament, federalism, elections. UPSC does not test the entire constitution equally. Certain themes recur with like near clockwork regularity. Means it keeps repeating again and again every year. We saw through the various analysis from 2013 to 2025, various themes keep repeating. The CAG theme kept repeating again and again every 2-3 years. So UPSC has a habit of doing that. So you should be very aware. So these 5 clusters account for over 70% of the political questions in the last 12 years. So this I ran through the ChatGPT and asked it. Like I gave the entire 2013 to, and this is what it gave me. So there is very concrete evidence that 70% of the questions were based on the same recurring themes. So you have to complete those first, and everything else is after that. So don't do the regular way of doing notes, reading every current affairs, and then the regular way. You have to identify the themes and then understand and complete all of these first. So that is why PYQ become very important. So you can look it at from 6 dimensions. Consider this actual UPSC style question, like the governor's office has become controversial in recent times. This is a very favorite hot topic of polity. So the question, initial trigger is governor. Governor does something and that is the trigger event. Then, but what is the underlying issue? The underlying issue is federalism. So you start linking it to federalism. How governor's role is impinging on the center-state relations, etc., and how he's being the partisan or not being neutral, etc. And then link it to constitutional morality. What is constitutional morality? Strong adherence to the principles and provisions of the constitution. So I am a governor. I am doing what the constitution has given me. Adanna nan ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ that is constitutional morality. Anything beyond that I do is not moral or immoral. Then you link it to democratic accountability. Then let's say a governor is not signing on the Tamil Nadu governor issue. He was not signing on almost 12 to 13 bills that were duly passed. Now him not doing or him doing such acts, who is he accountable to? He is actually interrupting the policy making, the legislative process, which the legislature, Tamil Nadu legislature, had the right to do, and he is obstructing it. Now you link it to such values, democratic accountability, that it is impinging on democratic accountability. Then the center-state relation, how it is affecting. Again, federalism, center-state relation are overlapping. So most students answer only the first step. Let's say before this, if I had given this question, maybe you would focus only on governor article, what is his powers, what are his privileges, etc. And maybe here and there you would have come across, or even with the controversy, you would have concentrated on the masala part, like what mess he has created, rather than the constitutional provisions. Only the first step. Toppers will write across 6 dimensions. You look at all these dimensions. Every 2 dimensions, if you write 2 points, you have 12 points. So this is how you start looking at a topic and brainstorming. So content is one part, but you have to model that content into to the particular demand. And it might be difficult initially, but with certain frameworks, answer writing frameworks or brainstorming techniques, you will generate more points. So most students answer governor. The correct answer unpacks federalism, constitutional morality, accountability, center-state relations, etc., which we saw. So top 10 micro themes based on the analysis. These were the top 10 micro themes: governor, parliamentary committees, judiciary, federalism, election commission, constitutional morality, local governments. We saw a lot of questions on local governments, pressure groups every year. Even PSR students will know this. Pressure groups is a completely distinct syllabus portion in PSR. Then political parties, separation of powers. These are the most repetitive themes in polity. So you have to prepare this. How it frames polity questions. It, as I said, rarely it asks what are the fundamental rights, what is federalism. Those days are gone. Now it will always ask, has the Indian federalism become more cooperative or competitive? These are the type of questions. So you have to understand that the questions are becoming more analytical in analytical and more. There is a more depth in the type of questions. Has the governor become an agent of the center? Does GST strengthen or weaken federalism? Question will never be on GST. Explain the structure of it. How many members? This is prelims knowledge. This is exclusive prelims knowledge. That will never come in handy for the mains. The mains question will be, does GST strengthen or weaken federalism? So it is a lot more is expected. I will say in polity in mains is about understanding the philosophy of constitution, how it was built, what are the values it stands from, and how various institutions are digressing from it. Then what are the way forward? If you approach this, look at from this lens, you will start answering better. Is judicial activism a threat to separation of powers? Now he has linked judicial activism to separation of powers. Question could be just judicial activism. Again, that was the question of the past. Now it will be about judicial activism. Is it a threat to separation of powers? So UPSC polity question is built around a conflict, a contested idea, and not merely a definition. Your preparation must shift from what institutions are to how they perform and why they fail. How they perform, first you address that part, why they fail, and what to do to address them. These three questions, if you are able to answer to every institution, you will have most of the, so UPSC tests issues, not definite. The brainstorming framework. Now this is a one of the framework. I think you can use it for your various answers. Any polity questions can be expanded through these 6 lenses. First is the constitution. It is mandatory. You have to write the articles, the constitution provisions. See, you don't have to mug up all the 400 plus articles. You have to just understand, see the fundamental rights, DPSP, fundamental duties. These are you have to do mandatorily. It will come in lot handy in polity, social justice and governance. Then apart from that, you have to know some articles on governor, president and the various constitutional bodies. That is important. So if these are done, that is more than enough. You don't have to mug up all the 400, 450 articles. Then constitution first, then you have to write the democratic part, like how it is. You also go through the various provisions of the basic structure. Now that itself can be a point. Any question comes, let's say again doctrine of separation of power is a part of the basic structure. Now any question comes, you can directly write it as a point that it violates the basic structure doctrine of or doctrine of separation of powers, which is an integral part of basic structure of the constitution. That itself is a point, or you can use it as a substantiation for other points. Then you can look at it from this perspective, the representation, accountability, etc. So I call it as the democratic part. Then you look at it from the institutional part, the roles, functions, independence. Again, governor, independence, judiciary, it acts because in a certain way because it is exercising its independence. But if we try to restrict it, then it will it will obstruct the independence of the judiciary, which again is a part of the basic structure. So you start thinking from this lens. Then there is citizen part. You look at that from the rights, entitlements, access to justice, Article 39B, civil liberties, etc. Look at governance point of view, administrative efficiency, rule of law, policy delivery. This is very important. Federal part, center state dynamics, cooperative versus competitive federalism. So just broadly think of any question from these lens. Just 1 point each you will write 6 points, or 2 to each you will write 12 points. So this is how you will start thinking. You will have the content. Content is not the problem in today's day and age. A lot of current affairs material, coaching materials, maze material, newspaper, etc. But having knowledge is one part. Generating points on that day of the exam, under that pressure, under the stress, is the real challenge. And that is why you need to have some framework or answer writing mechanisms. Framework in action, we'll just look at do a trial on judicial activism. Question is, judicial activism strengthens democracy, discuss. The constitutional lens. Now from the constitutional lens, you can look at it as PIL, Article 32, basic structure doctrine, judicial review. All the four are relevant. Now let's say judicial activism. Article 32 is what? You are basically moving the Supreme Court of India when your fundamental rights are violated. You start off with that. Then PIL again is expanding the fundamental rights doctrine. So that is why the judicial activism is a good thing. Now basic structure doctrine, because judicial independence is part of the basic structure, that is why it is right in doing so. Then the democratic lens, why judicial activism came into fore? Because to protect the minorities. You must have heard of the Husainara Khatun case, 1984. Now that was because prisoners did not get the right to access to speedy justice, fair and speedy justice. So to counter the majoritarian role, protecting minorities from the tyranny of majority. The governance lens, judicial overreach, the other side. For example, if you want to write the negative, you can say it is overreaching, it is breaching the doctrine of separation of powers. It is positive side, it is filling the legislative vacuum. Vishaka guidelines, you have a lot of guidelines on environment related judgments. It is filling the legislative vacuum. Legislature and executive are not doing their role, that is why we filled it. So this is how you can generate points. All the 6 lines, you write the positive, you have the pro side, the opposite you write, you will have the negative side. You are essentially writing 12 points. Then you write way forward another 6 points, you will have 18 points, and the introduction conclusion 20 points. You cannot get less marks, I would say. So this is how you have to, there is a technique to answer writing. If anyone says answer writing is not for everyone, it will not come in, then they are lying. They have not excelled it, that's it. This is based on like based on lot of trial and error and a lot of experience of the 3 mains. I think with all of that I can guarantee you that you can write decent answers based on just this framework. Then how to do validation, we'll do at the last. I'll just do one single session for that. Then institutionless, just you get the formula now. You can do it on, you bring in a lot of Supreme Court rulings on governor, union, states, disputes, etc. Any questions, judgments on judicial activism, you can bring in there. That also will add a value. Citizen lens is actually good. Access to justice, as I mentioned about Vishaka or the Husainara Khatun or any other. There was a judgment with respect to the GIB, Great Indian Bustard. So that was again case. I'm forgetting the case law. Yes, Ranjit Singh case. Very good. Excellent. Excellent. Then, so the universal now, how do you conclude your answers? That is a very important part, because you might usually we write very good, decent at least introductions. Based on the framework you have done the body. The problem is that conclusion you just write something, a line or so, and then finish your answers in very abrupt manner. My suggestion is that use at least 4 of these and any other. Anchor your conclusion on a keyword with a keyword and summarize it overall in 2-3 lines. For example, you can always use I call this as constitutional anchor phases. Constitutional morality, it's such a broad term, you can use it anywhere. Anyone doing anything wrong or right, you can put a word, anchor your conclusion around it. Governor does anything, constitutional morality. Judiciary does anything, you write constitutional morality. You any electoral integrity, criminalization of politics, you use constitutional morality. It is everywhere. My suggestion is go today and do a bit of study on constitutional morality, basic definition, what it means, Ambedkar, Dr. Ambedkar's views on constitutional morality, and various Supreme Court judgments on constitutional morality. That itself will give you so much fodder. You can utilize it in ethics, in essay, in GS2, across papers. It's a very important keyword, constitutional morality. Every year there will be a alternate year, there will be a question on constitutional morality. It is a repeated theme. So you can utilize the same keyword in your conclusion. Cooperative federalism, again a very important buzzword of government. Then participatory democracy, anywhere elections are related, you can use the participatory democracy. Cooperative federalism, anywhere center-state disputes is there, anywhere governor, president question comes, you can talk about that. Anywhere questions on schemes, the CS and CCS, various schemes, you can utilize them. Constitutional governance, you can write that. All institutions operating within constitutional bounds, accountable to the rule of law. Rule of law, again, very wide word, you can use it very well. Use these phrases in your conclusion with context. Now, whatever the question might be there, you use this keyword, anchor it to the question, and then conclude. Then it will, if you just drop these keywords, it will feel like, why did this keyword come here? Then he will clearly understand you are just putting keywords for the sake of it. Now, if you use these keywords and then link it to the core of the question, then it will feel not like an empty buzzword. It will actually feel that you have connected the word with the demand of the question. That is when your conclusion will be actually very good. So, this is predicting UPSC, I will do it later. The final polity formula, go through the PYQ, go through that document. Every question inch by inch, you just go through that document, then understand the various micro themes, that is very important. Then you understand or you come up with the framework or whatever frameworks we discussed here, you apply those frameworks to the question, then you will cover a lot of dimensions. See, framework is the broad skeleton, you apply, you will get a lot of dimensions, you actually write, then you have your answer. So, this should be the framework, and this is the exercise you should be doing, especially mains 2026 you should be doing. And anyone preparing for next year, all your notes should be in this format, so that you are covering a lot of things, and you are actually doing what is needed for UPSC mains and not wasting your time. So, this is, again, this is not a shortcut, this is a replicable system. I am not teaching any shortcut, I am only improvising on the material you already know. Material everyone will have the basic, because of the foundation course, current affairs material, you will know basic things. But my role here was to how to write better answers, and this was the role of it. So, module 1 key takeaways. Key takeaways that conflicts and not chapters. It tests the constitutional tensions, governors versus federalism, judiciary versus SOP, elections versus integrity. Elections versus integrity means criminalization of politics, etc. Then micro themes over syllabus. Identify 10, I would say another 10 to 15 recurring micro themes from PYQs. Deep preparation on these beats the broad, shallow coverage every time. 6 lenses, every answer. Constitutional, democratic, etc. Apply all these to every polity question. Conclude with conviction. I will say conclude with conviction. It should not taper off. Introduction is great, body is great, and then suddenly it ends abruptly or tapers off. No, you have to conclude with conviction. You are, because ultimately he will be rewarding marks after finishing the. So once he feels that you have left that imprint in his mind that this candidate has actually written very good. The conclusion gives that sense of completion. You only look, both candidates have written good answers, introduction body, and one has abruptly ended, one ends with a very good conclusion. You would, as a normal human being, compelled to give that extra half mark or extra 0.25 marks. Even a 0.25 marks for 4 papers would give you 20 marks. That will get you from IPS to IAS or IRS to IPS. So this is prepare the conflicts. The constitution will automatically be covered. So the broad idea is UPSC tests constitution conflicts. The aspirant who understands this distinction will not just pass the mains, will top it. Stop preparing countries, start preparing strategic themes. Now the paradox is, why do students know everything about China? You ask about China, they will tell some basic things about the GDP, about the trade deficit, about BRI, etc. But they fail to write very good answers. See, knowing facts about a country is not same as understanding India's strategic posture towards it. Every question in IR, you have to look at India versus that country, India versus that multilateral body or a minilateral body, etc. So, biggest myth is IR is current affairs. Same goes with what I mentioned earlier. Current affairs is merely a trigger. UPSC tests India's strategic interests that lie beneath the headline. It is not this only today India, China have a problem. It goes far beyond like many decades ago. So for every year it was a current affair. So it is not a current affairs now, it is actually contemporary affair. So that is why IR is not current affairs. IR is, it is contemporary affairs. So you understand the strategic theme, then again we can go through the document, you go through the IR document again, same to same, you have a lot of repeated themes again and again, India, US, India, China, India, Africa, huge number of questions. A lot of people were very surprised that India, Africa was asked this year, but any serious aspirant who had gone through the PYQs would understand that India, Africa was asked even before also. So only those who did not go through it felt that this was a bouncer. So please go through the PYQs. Your job is to identify the various themes again in this. IR syllabus at a glance. First is the India and neighborhood. It is, I feel, very important. Every year one question, and usually question will follow a certain pattern. There will be a pattern, and this will be 9 and 10, question 19 and 20 in the GS2. So India and neighborhood will be the first theme. Then you have bilateral relations. India and neighborhood first, India bilateral relations next, that is beyond the neighborhood. Then there will be the mini groups, minilaterals, which we call as the regional and global groupings, BRICS, SCO, Quad, etc. Quad, very favorite topic of UPSC Quad, time and again. Quad comes, SCO has come, BIMSTEC had come, comparison between SAARC and BIMSTEC, very recurring topic. So you actually prepare for most of these things. There is a foundation notes for all of this. Now once the mains is happening, you don't actually worry about like all the long year, you don't have to worry about all this, like all the 4 to 5 months of hot IR topics in those 5 to 6 months before your or during and before the mains. That is more than enough, and every year there will be a question on just revolving around those 6 months. So, but you have to have broad understanding or a static part of all these things. You should be knowing what is Quad, BIMSTEC, structure, members, most of the things you should be knowing. Then it becomes easy to add on that. International institutions like IMF, UN reforms, again very hot topic. I feel that IR part, PSIR people will have a again lot of advantage and also a lot of interest in this part. Indian diaspora, maybe again very recurrent topic. You go through that file, you will see at least Indian diaspora question coming every 2 to 3 years. Every year there will be question on Indian diaspora. So you collect basic facts of all of this. So India, Pakistan, you have some data, some historical tie-ups, the various what we say, the commitments, etc. Again, for all of this you do some basic data, like what is the GDP of this and the trade deficit with China, Bangladesh, trade with Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, what are our economic contribution to it, Nepal, Myanmar, what are the various trade related activities that we have taken here, etc. Same goes with, in a much more broader way, with India, US, etc. My suggestion is you read the Hindu and the Indian Express regularly. The old Indian Express, not the Indian Express that comes in Bengaluru. It is crap. You read the old Indian Express, the Delhi edition. Excellent. You read articles of C. Raja Mohan, articles of in the Hindu, Suhasini Haidar writes very good. Please note these two writers, Suhasini Haidar in the Hindu and C. Raja Mohan in Indian Express. You don't like for the PSR guys, this list goes still long, but at least for the GS candidates, do this as bare minimum. Quote these people directly in your answers. It will come in very handy. So, because what I say or you say about India-US relation does not hold water. What the expert says will have some bearing. So, that's why you directly mention the author. That will actually help. Then you have Harshvi Pant. You have Stanley Johnny writing for the Indian Hindu. Stanley Johnny, he writes on West Asia. Any question on West Asia, he has a very good hold on that topic. So you mention all these toppers, all these thinkers again and again. Micro theme universe, again for this, consistently across 5 domains questions have revolved. One is the Pakistan China, the neighborhood, first one. Then you have the bilateral relation, India US, India Russia, India Japan, very very important. Then groupings, SCO, BRICS, BIMSTEC, SARC, I2U2 was in 2022. So every year a major summit happens, or any major summit in the last 6 months. That is a sure shot question. You don't have to chase every summit that has happened across the year. Preceding 6 months during your mains, whatever is important, the regional grouping, that is very important. If let's say during 2 months before your mains, Quad summit happens, very important. You take it for granted that a question directly will be there, so you don't have to run too much behind. Then you go for the UN, WTO, IMF, World Bank. Basics about UN, IMF, World Bank you should be knowing. Then recently what is happening, there is very abstract topics like Indo-Pacific, multipolarity. It is not about any bilateral or multilateral relation. Very vague and open-ended questions, global south. So this again needs lot of reading. Now what comes to India-China? India-China, first things that come to anyone's mind is the trade deficit, border disputes, BRI, Galwan cash, etc. These are, yes, these are events, not themes, but you have to understand the underlying theme: strategic competition, security dilemma, economic interdependency. Economic interdependency because we have a deficit of 90 to 100 billion dollars, and yet we cannot, remove our ties with India and China. So that is the Indian. That's a ambassador, female ambassador. She writes excellently on India China. Then regional power balance. So you have to think from this angle: strategic competition, security dilemma, economic interdependency, regional power balance. This should be your themes of looking at it. And then these all should just be like value addition, like examples, substantiation. You cannot have these as your points. The point will be that and you're utilizing these as value addition. So you think from that point of view. So this will help you transform your IR answers. So 5 strategic themes, every IR question fits one of these. So every question will be around one of these. Like you have security related issues, borders, terrorism, military alliances, maritime threats. Even GS3 has a lot of overlap with this part. Then economy, trade, investment, sanctions, supply chains. I think all of these words can be various dimensions. Again, brainstorming keyword. Based on that, you can think. For example, there is India and China issue. You can look at it from the, as we mentioned, trade, the supply chains, how are too much reliance on Chinese supply chains costed us. Then investment, how we had during the COVID, we had blocked the investment and now we had strategically opened up. Then you can talk about cyber, space, etc. Here India US question comes. Lot of dimensions we can cover from here. Security, India neighborhood, you can always, West Asia, you can always look at from this. Then global governance, IMF, etc. So India's representation in global governance, India not being getting the permanent seat at the UNSC. So broadly, these will be the themes. So anchor every IR answer to at least 2 of these 5 pillars, at least, but you can mostly connect to most of them, like at least 4 or 5. Your answer will instantly feel more strategic and UPSC worthy. So I hope you're actually getting what I'm saying, or is it too much to bear? Okay. So anchor your answer to at least 2 of this. You take any, let's say we'll just do an interactive session like India US. I want you to bring at least 1 point from each. Like please do this. Trade, trade surplus. Very good. We took trade. We have a surplus there. We have CORD that comes under global governance, multilateralism. So this is how we have to start thinking. Technology, we have, yes, ISRO, NASA, we have NISAR program. You can, IMEC corridor. Yes, that is one here. Connectivity. Then you have sanctions, anything that is ringing when you hear the word sanctions. Yes, when Iran war was happening, we were put sanctions there. Supply pack silica, that comes in connectivity. Very good. MSP, yes, very good. That comes under the defense pacts. We signed the 4 or 5 very important defense pacts. We can write it in security. Then can you think of US exiting most of the, yes, where does it come? In global governance. Climate reparations on global governance again. So you use this and you have so many points coming up. Maybe before this you knew all of these points, but you did know where to structure them, where to actually align them. Now you have a framework, so it comes very naturally now. Now if you write 2 points for each, you have 10 points on one side. You write the opposite, the downside of India-US relation. Again, let's say even if you write 1 point, you have 5 points. So you have roughly about 12 to 15 points easily you can generate. This is based on just generation. Naturally, whatever comes, again you can add 2-3 points. Then there is introduction and conclusion. So easily you will be able to write 15-20 points. So my advice is for 10 marker, you write 15 points. For 20 marker, you write, for 15 marker, you write 20 points. You have to increase the number of points slowly. Initially it is difficult. Initially you might write 10 points for 10 markers, 15 points, 15 marker, but slowly you do that plus 2 or 3. That will actually start, you will start increasing the, again, for example, let's say you are writing 10 points and 15 points for each. Now I am asking you to write extra 2 to 3 points. So it would be at least 4 points each per question. Now let's say for all the 4 points, I'm just assuming that you are getting half a mark. For 4 points, you are just extra, you are getting half a mark. So for that is GS 80 questions will be there. 4 into 20. So 80 into half mark, 40 marks out of nothing, out of thin air you are producing 40 marks. So that is why we had already increased 20 marks earlier because of conclusion. Now let's say I am doing this again. So this is how mains ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಕನ್ನಡ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ರಾತ್ರಿ ಪವಾಡ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. You have to believe in the small incremental changes. Mains is like, it is like a pyramid and divided into 3 segments. The bottom tier, middle tier you can fill easily. The top tier, though it looks very small, but it is very difficult to. What I mean to say is you can score 700, 680 to 700 in mains, but to bring from 700 to 750, 750 to 800, it is very difficult. On average, you can score 700, 750 easily and you can clear the mains. But just by clearing mains, you will only get interview call. And again, if you have to score extremely high, like 200, 220 plus to make it, which is not going to happen. Take it from me, it will not happen. So mains is in our control. Interview is actually is not our in control. It requires a lot of luck on that very day, whichever board comes, etc. So my approach is control the controllables. Mains is in our hands. So if I am able to score 750 to 800 here only, then I am in a much more better position to not just make into the interview, but actually get into the final list. So even an off day at interview, like 150, 160, and you have a very good score, 800 here, 960, 970, you will sail through and at least get IRS or some service. At least you will be in the list. So else you cannot, interview day, you will be expecting that they should give you at least 200, 220, which is not going to happen. Then neighborhood framework. This is for the neighborhood. Any question on neighborhood, India, Sri Lanka, or India, Pakistan, India, China, anything, you look at from these 6 frameworks. First is historical. Any relation, we will have some historical pacts, deals, some history linked with us. That is why we are rivals or friends or whatever with that particular country. So you have to understand that. Then you have to understand the economic point of view, the trade, connectivity, investment. You take India, Bangladesh, you have historical ties, etc. Economy, we have the largest trading partner in South Asia. We have a lot of bridges being constructed, lot of power grids, lot of various other investments there. Then people to people, you have a lot of diaspora, you have migration, tourism, soft power, same language, Bengali, cultural ties, that comes under people to people, which is diaspora. Then strategic, Bangladesh location in our, the way it is placed there, it is strategic to us because China can play its hand and it will cost us our security. So strategic point of view, security again, cross border during or let's say the illegal migration, electoral changes that will happen, maritime security, etc. Let's say it gives away some of its port to China, that it will be a security dilemma for us. Then way forward, you have to write like, this is for India neighborhood, that we will negotiate in the bilaterally. We will make use of the SARC or BIMSTEC. We will revive SARC. We will accelerate BIMSTEC. We will do more people to people ties, etc. So use like this, soft power, etc. So apply this to any neighbor, use this exact structure to all the neighbors, the headaches will remain constant. So this will, what you can do is, this eliminates the need to memorize notes. You don't have to memorize notes. For mains, don't memorize anything. Everything should keep revive. Let's say you have basic notes, you've read them once, and every day you are reading newspaper. Most of the things you will be revising. It's not that only through notes you are going to revise all your basics. India, US have read something today, 2-3 days ago, later you have a article, detailed article, you read it, again you are revising the same thing. He will not give some separate, different things, he will again base it on the same things. So that is why look, don't memorize anything. This will come in very naturally once you start following newspaper every day and you start looking things in a particular structure. Else then else what happen, you will feel that mains is huge, mains will feel like very difficult, you have to mug up everything. No, that is not the case. You have to, because mains is endless. Everything in the UPSC syllabus is so wide, and there is no boundary to it. You will your preparation will never be over. So that is why you have to think from certain brainstorming frameworks. Only then it will come in easy. Bilateral framework, same. You have to understand first why India US is important. You tell the strategic rationale why this relationship matters to India's interest. Second, areas of cooperation. We talked about India US. We talked about defense, trade, technology. We have a huge diaspora there, second largest diaspora. Multilateral platforms like you have mentioned, the IMEC, the I2U2, etc., Quad, etc. So every single point is dimension is a point. You are easily, literally, very easily generating points, and that is how you are finishing your answer within 7 minutes or 11 minutes. Just forget all this and then try to finish your answer within 7. You will never. You will end up leaving at least 3 to 4 questions. So time management very fast ಬರೆಯೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಅಥವಾ having a ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಗ್ಗಪ್ ಮಾಡಿ I will dump, you read a particular topic, exact that topic comes, maybe that topic you might finish in 7 minutes. Let's say that a topic ನೀವು ಓದಲ್ದಿರೋ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ಅಥವಾ ವೆರಿ ಸೂಪರ್ಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಓದಿರ್ತೀರಿ, that topic comes, then it is very difficult to finish it under 7 minutes. That is when all of this will come in handy. Then challenges, you write the challenges. Every relation will have a challenge. You talk about Pakistan being that because US is friend, more closer to Pakistan, and pressure points, diaspora, Indian illegal migration, the donkey route, etc., the sanctions, etc. These are challenges. Challenges of Quad, India, US not being very active with Quad. So that is way forward. What should we be doing? So you again, you write the challenges. Opposite of that is the way forward. You write the good parts. Opposite of that is the, again, you are literally hovering around the same with different words. So once you know what to do with certain these parameters, then answer writing becomes very easy. So apply this to any India US, India Russia, India France, etc. Now your duty is to just memorize some facts here, like facts like trade deficit, GDP, some diaspora numbers. This is like for few countries you do this, that will add more value. So that will then way forward. So this is how you do for global groupings framework. Brainstorm using 5 lenses. Again, this is same for, you take BRICS, you go for economy, what is its share of GDP, what is the trade it is doing, what are the trade amongst its members, de-dollarization, for example, BRICS, de-dollarization, this is economic. Strategic, how it is acting as a counter to the IMF, the World Bank, etc. Geopolitical, Russia, China axis, India's autonomous positioning, like for example, you have two competing same bodies with two different bodies with same interest or overlapping interests, and India is being part of it, or two bodies with very opposite views and India still being part of it. Now it is I would say an irony, or it would like India will not be very clear on its stance, so you can link it with that aspect. Then institutional, like various global frameworks, how it is acting as an alternative to the existing global south. Use this keyword everywhere in IR part. Any question comes, you say global south, you try how global south or developing countries is taking it. This itself is a key point. So the result will be that a question that initially felt abstract now almost answers itself. You can literally answer itself using this. So apply this to Quad, G20, BIMSTEC, etc. with minor adaptation. Yes, this is a very good thing. BRICS also doubles as Global South. See, BRICS is a part of Global South. Global South is this whole bigger part, and then there is multipolarity. Actually, all the three are very overlapping, or I would say faces of the same coin. So, three question types, one framework, and still you will have an answer. So, if a question BRICS Global South you will have the same answer. Global South multipolarity you will have same answer, just with minor tweaks. So the PEST DG brainstorming model, you can go beyond this. This is just a small framework. P is political, same political, economical, strategic, technological, diaspora, and global governance. Every important theme here has at least 3-4 small wordings here. You expand on each and you will have plenty of points, like you have to limit the points. It will be in such a position. So again, technological, you have so many, cyber, space, AI, etc. You can write about the AI summit, the space related alliances, strategic security alliances, defense cooperation, deterrence, diaspora. You can always talk about remittances, any bilateral, India, West Asia. What is the issue India will have? Remittances. India is a huge receiver of remittances from West Asia. So any disturbance in West Asia will hit our economy. So you can talk about that. Cultural diplomacy. So same, then global governance. This is my favorite part, global governance. Always try to include global governance in every answer. I think this is a very missed up, most people will miss it. Most will write about polity, strategic, economic, etc. But global governance, that will, even if you look at the UPSC questions, questions are mostly revolving around global governance. So live example, you can apply it to Quad, you will get. Critically examine the significance of Quad for India's foreign policy. Now you apply the PEST DG. Politically, you can talk about how all our democratic countries shared values framework. Economically, supply chain resilience, countering China's supply chains, critical mineral mission, etc. Strategic deterrence to China, alternative supply chains, Indo-Pacific narrative. Technology you applied for critical minerals, semiconductors, any other clean energy, etc. Then global governance, rules based order, vaccine diplomacy, climate finance, etc. So the magic of frameworks. So what begins as a 4 obvious points, border, China, Indo-Pacific, democracy, expands into 15 arguments, 15, covering every dimension an examiner inspects. You are literally giving what an examiner wants, and you will be overwhelmed, to be honest. For 15 marker, you will easily be getting 9, 10, which is like will be highest, at least. So 7.5, 8 will be very normal after once you start doing this. Then favorite topics, neighborhood, first, China challenge. These are like very favorite topics. Whenever you come across a very good article on all of these, please read them and collect them at one place. Neighborhood first, China challenge, Indo-Pacific, global south, strategic autonomy, like very favorite UPSC buzzword, UN reform, multilateralism, etc. Any article or video discussion on this on YouTube, please follow it. And IR is something which you can utilize in essay easily, and you can add a different dimension, one additional dimension. You need not be PSR student. If you excel this, you can directly utilize IR as a dimension in essay, so that will come in handy. We continue. This is high probability reason. Then from current affairs to marks. So current affairs, earlier what I said, current affairs, you are only looking at IR as current affairs. No, it is not. So you understand the issue, then you understand the strategic theme behind it, then you apply this framework, then you have your structured answer. So most aspirants prepare for events. As I said, a summit happens and everyone is like, BRIC summit is happening, that summit, but no one really knows the significance of that. Now you will be in a much better position to not just understand but also explain the significance of that. So don't study headlines, study India's interests. That is very important. And by doing this, you will naturally have very good understanding or also cultivate interest in IR. Even if you are not interested, you will start understanding and getting interested. So every IR answer is test of strategic thinking. Yes. So yes, that's it. We'll go for governance. Yes. We'll start with governance. Governance is the most underrated scoring area. I feel governance and social justice is a bit overlap and also very repetitive. I feel you have to write the same things here. See, most students feel like governance is about some schemes, Ayushman Bharat, PM Kisan, etc., list of programs. But this is the point entirely. What UPSC actually tests is whether state can deliver on its intent, the gap between, this is what I was hinting at earlier also, the gap between policy design and the citizen outcomes. Keep repeating this phrase again and again in your answers. Every governance answer, this itself can be a point. Any question on governance, you can say there is a mismatch between the policy objectives and the ground reality. Policy objectives and the citizen outcomes. Let's say a policy is designed like, for example, National Health Policy 2017 says India has to invest 2.5% of its GDP. Now the reality is it is less than that, 1.6 or 1.7%. Now every answer you can just mention that, or you can mention this phrase and then write example National Health Policy. Do this for any scheme this applies. So it works well. So that itself is a phrase. Anytime a question comes, you directly say issues with this policy. Question comes, directly start. There is a gap between policy design and the citizen outcomes. This is how you are going to. And there's a book called book by Karthik Muralidharan, Accelerating India's Development. It's a huge book. The entire book is about governance or state's capacity. State capacity. You can just go through that book or at least read the summary of it on ChatGPT, and wherever you are writing answers, you just mention his name or the book name. Karthik Muralidharan's Accelerating India's Development showcases this. I have used his name like across papers. You can do the same. And it is not just about one book, you can actually do it for various other papers also. In ethics, you directly quote the books. Essay, we already do that. So you can do it for GS also. So governance is state's ability to deliver. It is state's capacity to deliver. And what are the issues that the state is failing to deliver it, and what should be done, and way forward, like the conclusion. Again, it revolves around these things. Governance revolves around these things. So governance is not it's not about what the government wants to do. It's about whether the government can deliver. Can it deliver? UPSC is never asking about explain the features of a particular scheme. No, it will never. You can muck up so many schemes, policies. It will never ask such questions. It will ask, what are the issues with this policy? What are the issues with national health policy? What should be changed? What is your recommendations or some insights? Then way forward or conclusion. So this single reframe, separates average answers from high scoring ones. So 5 pillars. See, governance is state capacity. Always mention that. Any question you say, the state capacity. Use that word repeatedly. State capacity. So 5 pillars converge to determine whether governance actually works on the ground. So first is policies, like schemes, laws, etc. Institutions, you have a policy, you have a health policy, but it is implemented by an institute. Then you have the bureaucracy, the National Health Ministry, the secretaries, the courts, etc., the hospitals, etc. These are the institutions. Then you have the civil services. It's about capacity, neutrality, accountability. You can literally expand those 3 things and you will have 3 points. Why a particular scheme is not doing well? You say there is not enough capacity, the police is overburdened, or for health you can say the doctor to ASHA workers, the doctor to bed ratio, doctor to patient ratio is very extreme. Capacity. Neutrality, not everyone has the same access to that institution, or biases in the institutions, etc. Accountability, it does something wrong and it is not being held accountable. Let's say it is not coming under a particular the RTI Act or any other. For example, judiciary, it does not, only except the administrative part, rest all is not accountable under the RTI judiciary. So we can talk about that. Then technology. Again, technology, you can write 2-3 points easily for every scheme and you will have a governance answer. So any question you say, the citizen participation is not there, the digital services are not there. If they are there, it is not inclusive, that it is only in English language and not local languages. Then you say technology also is there, but there is no internet connectivity, rural urban divide. So this is how you start generating points easily. So always don't mug up anything. My insight for mains is don't mug up anything. You have to just read, keep your eyes and ears open, read more, not memorize, read more, and apply these frameworks. Think every question or every theme from these frameworks. So try to generate points. What all can I think about from this topic? That mindset change will help you in answering better in mains. Then citizen participation, I said, if participation is not there, you write participation should be there. If participation is there, you say that that participation is limited to certain elites of the society. Or social audit, we can also talk about the role of NGOs. And so together these 5 pillars define state capacity. A true measure of governance is quality in any UPSC answer. So that is state capacity. So you write the opposite of this. You have a con side, you write the pro side of it, you have the other side. So that is how you are balancing both, and you can write the way forward. Then governance syllabus at a glance, you have civil services and there is a yes, clearly mentioned keyword, that civil services. So usually same reforms, lateral entry, questions on lateral entry every year or alternate year there will be a question on civil service. Civil services reforms, there are 4 to 5, you memorize 4 to 5 committees there. You have the Baswan committee, you have the Surendranath committee, then you have a lot of other, you have the very old committee. So you mention at least 3-4 committees. Karma Yogi, capacity building, transparency, accountability is a very, again this overlaps with ethics. So RTI, citizen charter, social audit, grievance redressal, these are all again part of ethics also. So whatever you study here, apply it there. Whatever you have studied there, apply here. Try to see all 1, 2, 3 as one single sphere and not separately. That will make your life easier. And it is designed in such a way. We are only artificially dividing it as 1, 2, 3, 4. But the thing is, once you've completed 1 to 4 syllabus, then you will understand that this entire syllabus is just one. And that day, my friend, you will clear this exam. Okay. participation, prati varsha SHG NGOs mele question. There's something called as the Panchamrits of SHG. You must have come across. It is the official government. You can directly write those. NGOs, NGO pressure group last year 20. We already saw question on pressure group was there. Pressure group positives, negatives, SHG positive, negative, everything. Any question you write opposite, and the opposite of that you have your answer. So that is what you have to. E-governance, very favorite topic, and regulation, accountability mechanisms. So micro theme universe based on the PYQs. These are the 5 clusters: administrative reforms, accountability, participation, technology, regulation. This is what you should be using again and again. Every question you use just administrative reforms, like I will do this, accountability, this should be done, participation. Every point you write, generate 2 more points, you will have 10 points here. So recognizing which cluster a question belongs to instantly unlocks the right framework. These 5 clusters are not isolated. They again, I will explain this. It doesn't ask schemes. UPSC asks delivery problems. I have repeated right from the beginning. You might mug up all this PMJ or NHM, nothing will come of that. You can just use them as examples, that's it. But what UPSC evaluates is the 3 A's: accessibility, affordability, accountability. Now anywhere in your preparation you see 3 similar sounding words, you quickly draw a triangle. And write accessibility, affordability, account. This is like for every answer, every GS answer. Let's say there are 3 A's, 3 C's, 3 P's, 3 T's, trade, technology, and anything like that. 3 E's: efficiency, energy, etc. You just quickly make a small triangle, and what you could have written in words will better represent through. Just that it will break the monotony. And I have uploaded GS2 related diagrams on my UPS Telegram channel. Go through that, then you will better understand how to actually use diagrams. Use very small diagrams, micro diagrams for in your answers. That will make your answers look very good, very attractive. Then last mile delivery. So this is the question decoder. When you encounter any governance question, ask one thing first. What is the delivery bottleneck? Bottleneck means structural problems, issues. Every question maps to a specific type of failure. Civil services, capacity bottleneck, as I said. We have the police, but the issue is of capacity. Then SHGs, we have the SHGs, but participation is not there. E-governance, it is there, but rural-urban divide will be there. Citizen charter will be there, it will not be updated, or accountability will not be there. So naming the bottleneck in your introduction signals analytical maturity to the examiner and sets up your entire answer structure. So you understand what is the bottleneck. Then IPT CAO framework. Again, this is a 6 lens framework you can come up with. CAO is citizen, accountability, and outcomes. CAO, then IPT. Now same what we did earlier is going to apply. Institution, any or a governance question comes, which institution is, which body is responsible here? You mentioned that. Is it adequately empowered? Yes or no? Then process, what is the implementation pathway? As I said, the National Health Scheme, 2.5% of GDP. That was the implementation pathway, but that did not happen. Why? What were the problem? Where does it break down? Now you answer that, you have your answer to the question. Then technology, how digital infrastructure enable or obstruct delivery. See, e-governance, digital governance, technology ತಂದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಆಗಿಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು it's a big myth. It will solve certain problems but also generate a new set of problems. So you highlight, mains is all about looking at both sides of an issue and not saying that this will solve the entire problem or this is causing the entire problem. You have to have that analytical mindset to look from at the both faces of the same coin, of the same issue. That is what is expected in mains. If you are excelling in that, then you will do much better. Then citizen accountability outcomes, literally you can generate so many points here. Who is the beneficiary? How is the performance measured? What results follow? There was a very good question last year 2025 on the last part. How performance is measured, what results are followed. Yes. Citizen civil services master framework. So most repeated governance theme, one structured framework, apply across every. Now you apply this. So we have a question on civil services. You can look at importance. So importance of civil services, why it is indispensable, you mentioned it. Challenges of civil services, the politicization of it, the lack of accountability, the ivory tower syndrome, skills gap. Let's say a 1990 IAS officer now working in today's day and age is not updated with the AI or data sets or etc. So he has that skill gap which needs to be filled through technological or what we say as in-service training programs, etc. So you mentioned that challenges. Then reform. What is challenge? Right opposite, you have reforms. So ARC. So every time you are writing challenges here. Now next time when you're the next page you are writing reforms, don't again think what to do. Just go through and 6 points you've written, exactly opposite you write, you have your reforms. So try doing this. Then capacity building, Mission Karma Yogi. This framework covers civil services reforms, lateral entry debate, etc. So use this framework, you will understand importance, challenges, reforms and way forward, which is capacity building. So SHG NGO again same. For every SHG NGO type of question, you will have economic, social, political, governance related, women, and try to bring women empowerment angle in social justice and governance. Easily 1 or 2 points you can generate there. So memorize these 5 dimensions: economic, social, political, governance and women empowerment. Your job will be easy. E-governance framework. Has digital governance improved service delivery in India? Critically examine. This question comes every year like with different wording. Same question, e-governance, comes every year in different wording. So how to use this framework? So efficiency. Now with technology, what will happen? Speed will be there. It will reduce the red tapeism because no manual intervention, human intervention. This will improve the transparency because it is more accountable. Data, open data is there. Everything is available to the public, trackable, etc. Accountability will be there. Whenever you write transparency, connect it with accountability. These are like siblings. You have to write parallel. Transparency, accountability. Then audit trail will be there. Feedback loop will be there. That is the use of e-governance. Then inclusivity, inclusion will be there. Technology is neutral. It will help everyone reaching the meta protection and vulnerabilities, etc. Cyber security, data protection, vulnerabilities will be there. This you can write in the negative side. Digital divide, this again is the negative side. So digital divide, also think of not just urban rural, always think across spectrum. Men, women, there's a very good data that says about digital divide between men and women. Of course, many will write urban and rural, but you can also cover men and women. You can also cover youth and old age. Very good. So you can cover that. So of language, you can write language. So digital gap, always try to think a step further. You have the basic content, try to think in 2-3 more ways. So how to use this framework? This is very important. Always start with positives. Positives, efficiency, transparency, accountability. You can give a lot of example, digital locker, PMF, and make sure whatever you write a point, example, just write one word, DigiLocker or AEPS or the PMFS. So you don't have to write again. That example should not be another line. You will lose a lot of time. If you're writing 6 examples, 6 points, at least 3 to 4, for 3 to 4 you are writing examples, not all, because you will put a lot of effort in thinking what example to write, and that will break the flow also, and that will increase your time in answer writing. So then you pivot to challenges, inclusion, cyber security, digital divide, again this, then conclude with reform. Always remember this, when a question starts on challenges, you address the challenges, then you write the positive and conclude. Let's say it is asking positives and it has not mentioned about challenges at all. You write the challenges, and once you write challenges, never end your answer with challenges, because you are a bureaucrat, you are a civil servant, your job is to provide solutions. People ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಡೆ ಕಷ್ಟ ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದಿರ್ತಾರೆ, you don't send them with more problems, you address those problems. So always don't leave with challenges. Every question, this is true for every question. Any question that ends negatively, broad simple framework, any question that it is very negative, that India ಒಳಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ನಡೆದೈತಿ, Indian security is gone, India is messing up. Yes, that is true, you answer all of that. Then you should not say yes and end the answer. You should say yes, this is a problem, this should be done. So you're always coming up with solutions, ending with solutions or reforms, etc. So that should be conclude with a reform pathway, that digital literacy, data protection, etc. Live example, same, citizens charters have not delivered expected outcomes, discuss. You discuss about the institution, which here is citizen charter, then you tell the process, how delivery is intended to operate, what is its intention, vision, mission. Then citizen, you tell what is the issue with citizen, that citizen participation is not there, etc. Accountability, that even if citizen charter is not delivering, there is no accountability, no penalties. This is how you, so this IPTCO will help you write answers. So 5 governance bottleneck, always mention, you think about from these angles, it is enough. Always think from capacity deficit. You come up with any governance question, you said capacity, state has no capacity, or state capacity is low, understaffed. This is very simple and very valid point. Understaffed, you take any department in it, it is understaffed, you mention this. Skill gap is there, it should be skilled. Iddaru, technology has changed, so they need to be reskilled. They have forgot, they have to upskill. So you just beat around the same thing, you will generate 3 to 4 points. So then coordination failure, you mention this again, problem with let's say a highway department, it is creating a highway in a forest. Now environment in ministry is not giving the clearance, so coordination failure. It has given, but now let's say the social groups there are coming up, so, or the tribal groups are, so ministry of tribal is involving. So this is how coordination failure. So coordination failure, so you can write that. Accountability gap, you write all of this and say there is no penalty, no weak audit culture, absent of social audit mechanism, grievance redressal. Use that word, grievance redressal. Any question you say lack of grievance redressal. Access barrier, digital divide, etc. Resource constraint, this you can write again very like, resource illa andre resource illa anta bariri, idre it is not being utilized, there is leakage, then or there is a leakage in it, or there is delay in fund release. So these 3 things, every point you can write 3 more points. This is there. So formula is, you understand the problem, identify the bottleneck, then you say what is the institution that is responsible here, what is the reforms, what are issue with that institution, reforms that are needed, then what will be the outcome. So this single shift will help you answer very good governance answers. Now go today and apply this framework to governance, and even with without any notes, without any reading of material, you will be able to produce at least 5-10 points, and that is more than enough. Okay, that's it. Last module, we'll finish it up. polity was the most predictable part, IR is the most difficult part, and social justice is the most underestimated part of GS2. So again, social justice, I feel this is like failure of governance will lead to social justice. Success of this should lead to social justice, but the thing is both are overlapping. Like if you understand why polity and governance are failing, then you will understand social justice. So it is just an extension or a consequence of the earlier. So UPSC expects far more demanding and understanding of why outcomes remain poor despite decades of policy. Now, where did that policy come? That policy came from governance, from polity. Now that policy failed, and that is why we have various injustices. That is social justice, simple. So that is why again most people will just prepare for the list of schemes, current affairs, initiatives, etc. These are all good, but you should just use it for examples, etc. Nothing directly will come from that. What UPSC actually rewards is structural problems behind failures, root causes of poor outcomes, human development deficit, systemic and institutional. You can see it is an extension of governance. Most of the things are similar. So the gap between these two approaches is where marks are awarded. What it actually tests, UPSC does not test whether you know a name of scheme. It will test you whether you understand the dimensions of human development, education, health, nutrition, access to housing, etc. So access, can the target population reach services? Inclusion, are marginal, everyone is included or not? Equity is like, is the distribution fair? Quality of services, is it, I am preparing and giving planning a scheme, I'm also implementing the scheme, but is it actually reaching the people? Is it effective? Outcomes, I have done all the thing, they have also received, but is it transferring into actual development? For example, Swachh Bharat, they created the various toilets, etc. The scheme actually, a World Bank report said that because of creation of so many toilets, the communicable diseases that were there, that has reduced significantly over the years. This is a World Bank report. So that is what you can quote such examples directly. This is from a Niti Aayog report. You can directly give such instances. The social justice syllabus, yes. What does it cover? Social justice means human indicators, human development indicators, health, education, women, vulnerable sections, poverty, and children. Every year what happens is, this you can do, education, and education again it will be on school education, child education, higher education, such things. Women, broadly it will be like overlap with society and other things. Vulnerable section, here questions will be changing. Once it will be women, once it will be the SC/ST, the elderly, some it will be the disabled, then the minorities. Every year it will be different. Children, again nutrition, etc. Poverty. One more thing, social justice micro theme universe, again just what I mentioned. So consistently UPSC returns to these 5 clusters. You have to understand. So on malnutrition, dropout rates, disability, maps to one of these. Master these clusters and you have covered majority of social justice syllabus. So this is important, health, education. So what you do is collect 4 or 5 data directly from ChatGPT or government data from for these, and you can readily use them in answers. The biggest mistake in social justice is, consider the question, why are learning outcomes poor despite massive public investment in education? So typical response will be that it will mention NEP, Samagra Shikshan budget, PM Poshan scheme, describes the government initiative. This will earn just not even 4-5. This is wrong. It will not earn 4-5. It will earn even for 15 marker, yes, 4-5 max. What the examiner expects: teaching quality and absenteeism, foundational learning deficits, infrastructural and digital divide, governance and accountability gaps. Now, when you are writing these, here you are using these as examples. Same as what happened. This itself cannot be a point. You can remember all of this because of prelims knowledge, but that will not come handy for mates. That itself cannot be a point. These can only be value addition point. Like example, PM portion. Example, NEP 2020. You can use it to substantiate your answers and not, they per se cannot be your points. The scheme trap, again, tale of two aspirants I've given. So, average aspirants list schemes by name. He knows every scheme, every sector, everything he knows. Writes the government initiative, focuses on the government action, describes what the policy is. While a good answer will be like identifies the structural problem of the scheme, analyze the outcome and gaps, focuses on human development, evaluates policy effectiveness. So, social justice answers are not about what government has done, similar to what I had mentioned in governance. They are about why society has not yet reached the desired outcome. If you understand that part, you will be able to write a very good answer. Identify the structural problem, analyze the gaps and outcomes, focus on human development, evaluate the policy effectiveness. So again, this is the AAA QIO framework. So I think we've had a lot of frameworks from morning. Just the thing is, you go through those frameworks and apply them regularly, only then it will retain. Initially you will be like, how do I remember this name? But later on it will be just, it will become a habit. The trick here is to internalize such thinking process. It should become very normal. In yadu question theme nodadaga, easily you should be thinking from those perspective. That's it. That's the only agenda. Adak ನೀವು AAA QI ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಾದ್ರು that is immaterial. That does not really matter. The objective here is to internalize such frameworks while answer writing. Only then that's the objective. So first is access. Always, again, whenever looking at access, affordability, always put this, and that will just improve the visual appeal to the answers. So access, can the population physically reach the service? Affordability, is a cost a barrier? Availability, quality of the service, inclusion, or is everyone included? Outcomes, has it improved the human development? So you apply to health, education, nutrition, women, poverty, every vulnerable group, you apply this, you have 6 points. You add another 2-3 points, you will have at least 8-9 points easily for one. Write the opposite, you have another 8-9 points. Conclusion and introduction of 20 points literally. Like evaluator will be like, enough, this is enough for the day. So health, education, master framework, yes. So first, health and education, very favorite topics, and also you can use the same thing for essay. You can easily talk about the same. So health framework, infrastructure, we were talking about doctor-patient ratio. You mentioned that. ASHA workers, you had mentioned ASHA workers here. Then finance, out of pocket, what we call as OPE. Then IMR, MMR, you can buy out some facts of those, of both. For education, access, equity, quality, technology, employability, same. If education is given, employment is not there. If employment is given, it is not of like very good employment, or what we call as disguised employment, etc. Then technology, if technology is there, access is not there. Access is there, digital divide is there. So you just break 1 point and it is like a branch. You cut there and you will have another 2 points. So this is how you generate points. Teachers are there, teachers are not there, you bring in teachers. You bring in teachers, they are not of quality or they are absent. So you generate points like this, 2-3. This is that easy. Please, I think you should enjoy doing answer writing from today onwards. So the same, access and equity, etc. Women and vulnerable group, any vulnerable group and women, apply this. Why has empowerment remained incomplete despite constitutional guarantee? This is a very favorite topic. every year this question will be there. It's just that once it will be women, once it will be the marginal groups, once it will be the SC/ST, once it will be the disabled, etc. That's it. Every year the same question. So you write socially, socially patriarchy is there, social norms are very rigid, discrimination is there. You add example for each of this, you have 3 points. Then you economic, you write wage gap is there, asset ownership is not there. There's a very good data on for the PLFS, periodic labor force survey, which says the asset ownership of women in agriculture is only 27%. So you can use that. Financial access is not there. So you have 3 points there. Then political reservation is not there, representation is not there. Even if I'm is there, even if I've got the reservation or the representation, agency, what is agency? Agency is the Sarpanchpati that you've read in the proxy panchayat, proxy sarpanch. The woman will be the elected head, but her husband athwa patriarchal head will be doing. That is agency. She's lacking the agency to take her decision. Just for the namesake, she's the head. She's got. So whatever, that's what. I do not have representation. I got the representation through reservation. I get the reservation and I'm representing, but I do not have access. You are just answering the questions to the previous and you are asking yourself more questions and you are answering them. That's it. Legal and institutional, enforcement gaps, judicial access, etc. This will work universally. Live example. Despite numerous interventions, malnutrition remains a challenge in India. Discuss. So there are notes here. First is access, that geographical reach of this ICDS or the PDS, public distribution. Let's say there's no connectivity to that village. It's a hilltop area and there is no access. So access, affordability, food security and cost gaps, you can mention that. Delivery failure, like leakages. You have a huge leakage data. You have a data from the FCI itself. You can address on that. Every year 10% of it gets leaked. You can talk about that. And behavioral change. For example, yes, I have done over midday meals or eggs, but because of religious practices, their parents don't allow them to eat those eggs. So that is behavioral change. So government is doing its part. Now behaviorally, if you are not adapting, then it will not turn into, that's the question. Despite interventions, malnutrition remains a challenge. So interventions is happening. Now still what is the problem? That is your, what is your addressing? Behavioral change, institutional capacity, ASHA workers are limited. One ASHA worker has to travel around the village or that particular taluk, etc. So each node in this chain is a paragraph or 2-3 points in your answer. Do not open with government laws, Abhiyan, open with structural failures. Okay, you always diagnose. Examiners reward answers that explain the gap between policy intent and governance and the reality. This is what I had highlighted in governance also. There is a gap between policy intent and ground reality. This itself is a point. Again and again use that phrase that there is a gap between this, the intent and the reality. So that itself is a point, and you write any other example. Social justice question decoder. Every social justice question has a hidden diagnostic beneath the surface. Train yourself to spot it instantly. Health question. Access problem. Who cannot? The access problem. Who cannot access it and why? Education is quality problem. Education is that, but quality is not there. Woman question. Participation. What are the barriers that are resisting her to participate? Nutrition, delivery problem. Why does last mile delivery fail? Poverty question. Why can't the capability problem? Amartya Sen, capability approach. You can directly mention the Amartya Sen capability approach as a value addition as an example. Okay, this is the most repeated themes. Public health, learning outcomes. Use that word, learning outcome. Don't say, don't use any other word. You mention that learning outcomes. Learning outcomes is ಈಗ ಒಬ್ಬ 5th ಅಥವಾ 6th ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಹುಡುಗ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ, ಅವ್ನು ಆ ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್ ಕಲಿಸ್ತೀರಿ, but he's not able to read and write the syllabus or a six standard maths. That is learning outcome. You are just, for namesake, has cleared 5th or 6th. Although there's an NGO, the data that comes, very famous data that it releases. You can search it. Learning outcomes, human empowerment, nutrition, human capacity, and in all of these you can always mention the Amartya Sen's as a solution. You can say capability approach, inclusive development, vulnerable groups, social. So these are the repeated themes. This you can skip. Social justice rankers formula: identify the problem, diagnose the root causes. Always, this was the same for even government. Identify the problem first, diagnose the root causes. The root causes can be historical, structural, social, institutional, etc. You apply the 6 lens, then you write the positives of it, you will get the reforms. Then you conclude with anchor to the outcomes, conclude with what improvement looks like. So this will easily give you 7-8 marks. The core shift in thinking. So most aspirants prepare social justice as a collection of schemes. UPSC evaluates as a collection of human development challenges. So don't memorize programs, understand why outcomes are poor. That single shift is important. So the key takeaway is social justice is human development, delivery deficit, etc. Master the framework, apply them to every question. Your answer structure is your score. Okay, that's it. So we've completed all the 4 modules. We'll just do a Q&A session. This is the last year paper. We'll just go through it and understand the demand. Okay, this is enough. So RPA, we had talked about RPA, Representation of People's Act. You go through my Telegram channel. I've added a lot of value addition material today morning for GS2. So you've done this. Go through those notes that I've uploaded. I've uploaded the Supreme Court judgments, the GS2 keywords, the diagrams, then some other brainstorming frameworks, and that's it, I think, and some data set and quotations. That is more than enough. Then you apply to some of this, you will understand. These are all again current affairs. This is again contemporary effort because 2021, since 21 this question was expected, but finally it came in 2025. So you never know which question will be there. Pardoning powers comparison, so which we had seen, like, then J&K. This was because 5-year anniversary of the J&K formation. Attorney General, I had said this kept repeating at least 3-4 times. Women social capital complements in advancing empowerment and gender equity, etc. E-governance projects have built-in bias towards technology and back-end integration, then user-centric designs. So you have to break down every question. We'll also do a question on that. So we'll just take this example. Civil society organizations are often perceived as being anti-state actors than non-state actors. Do you agree? Justify. Now, your duty is, as I said earlier, any topic is given to you, your duty is to look at both sides of that topic. So, the CSO are perceived as anti-state. State is like government. So, civil services organization or NGOs, etc., are perceived as anti-state. Remember, it is stated perceived. It is not saying that they are anti-state. It is perceived that some believe so, some do not. So, do you agree? Now, you have to break down. First, you have to say civil service organization. What are they? Define them. Give some examples. And what is its importance? Just 3-4 lines. They're perceived, this is a 10 marker, so you have only 2 pages. They're perceived as anti-state actors. Why? Yes, they are perceived as anti-state actors. You list out 5 to 8 points. Like there is an environment NGO that is disrupting India's infrastructural road project. There is a mining, huge mining company that wants to do mining in India, and a tribal NGO or some other NGO is obstructing it. Yes, the intent might be wrong because there's a CBI or an intelligence report that said there is a credible direct quotation, the data set from the CBI itself, that certain number of percentage of NGOs who has had association with foreign other NGOs who had a deliberate intent to just dismantle India's development track. So you can quote that example. I had quoted that. There are a few well-known NGOs names also that comes up in news. You can directly quote their names. So this is you should have some examples here which you can sprinkle there and here and there. So you break this question and say, yes, this is being anti-state. You give 5 to 6 points. Then you say, no, they are not anti-state. They have done some contribution. For example, during the COVID, the state had limitations, so that is when NGOs came in. There is a disaster management. There's a NGO called Ruhi or something that does a lot of disaster management work. Then there is a NGO related to water management that has led to water rejuvenation in a lot of dry areas in Madhya Pradesh. You can use that. Then there's a NGO called as this Educate Girls. Then Kerala Financial Education Inclusion, Lakpati Didi, all of these. You can include a lot of this. So yes, it is being anti-state. No, it is anti-state. Way forward, where you say there is a committee for it, Vijay Kumar committee on the NGO regulation. So you mention that committee, or there is a new amendment to the FCRA amendment which is trying to address this problem. So you can mention that. So this is how you have to look at it. So you are not taking any extreme view. Let's say you have taken only an extreme view. For 2 pages, what extreme view will you write? You will be limiting at 5, 6, 7 points. After that, you will not have any points. So that is why you have to start thinking the other perspective. Write the opposite of it, you will get your answers. So constitutional morality is the fulcrum which acts as an essential check upon high functionaries and citizens alike. High functionaries means president, governor, etc. Citizens alike are ellarigu. In view of the observation of Supreme Court, explain the concept of constitutional morality. You explain it, so that will be half a page. This is a 15 marker, so half a page. Its application to ensure balance between judicial independence and judicial accountability. So constitutional morality, you explain that half to or the first page. Then you say constitutional morality with respect to judicial independence, constitutional morality with judicial accountability, and you combine this, like how independence is leading to also lack of accountability, or more accountability will lead to deterioration or shrinking of independence. You have lot of case studies. That is why you go through the case studies, case laws document that I have uploaded today. It has huge number of case studies, case laws. I have compiled a huge number of case laws. You can always sprinkle them here and there. That is why you should be knowing case laws by heart. The prominent you will be knowing the Keshwanand Bharti case, the L. Chandra Kumar case, or the case Puttaswamy judgment, etc. You will be knowing. Beyond that, I have added a lot of case laws you should be knowing. Make it a habit. Now, what all value addition you will be doing, I think I'll go through it a bit. It's 5 now. do you have the strength to just bear with me for another 15 minutes? UPSC Manthan _ or you just search Kiran Kamate, you will get it. You join it, and I have uploaded it. You can go through that. I have uploaded a lot of judgments. You go through them. So now I think I have done my part. If there are any, we'll do a Q&A session. So anything you want to ask, I'll be happy to answer. I'm not ಏನು ಕೇಳ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಹಾಂ ಹಾಂ ಈ ಪಿ ಡಿ ಎಫ್ ಬೇಕಾ? ಈ ಪಿ ಡಿ ಎಫ್ ಓಕೆ, ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಶೇರ್ ವಿತ್ ಸರ್, ಅವ್ರ ಮೇಲಲ್ಲಿದೆ. ಕೆನ್ ಆಸ್ಕ್ ಟೆಲಿಗ್ರಾಮಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕ್ಲಾ? ಓಕೆ ಫೈನ್. ಓಕೆ, ಹಂಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಅದರಲ್ಲೇ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಸೊ ಎವ್ರಿ ಒನ್ ವಿಲ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಇಟ್. ಎನಿ ಅದರ್ ಡೌಟ್ಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಯು ವಾಂಟ್, ಆರ್ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ವೈಂಡ್ ಅಪ್? Sources, any ready-made coaching notes. I will say, ಯಾವುದು ನೋಟ್ಸ್ ನೀವಾಗೆ don't make it again and again. Don't sit doing any notes. That will not be helpful. As I said, this is an endless process. ಮುಗಿಯೋದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. So you take a ready-made notes of any popular coaching institute, mains only notes, not the coaching notes, the mains only notes, and read them once or twice. Now you are only going to do value addition. Now what will be that value addition? I think that is what I'll focus. For GS2 value addition, like first and foremost, every aspirant here or any serious GS2 aspirant, Supreme Court judgments. Supreme Court judgments. Right now, start compiling. You just write the case law name. You mention the case law, Keshwanand Bharati versus State of Kerala, or just Keshwanand Bharati case 1973, and you mention just one phrase or what is it related to. Basic structure doctrine, separation of whatever it is, just what was that related to. K.S. Puttaswamy judgment, right to privacy, etc. That is enough. You don't go too deeper. You go through the document and you will understand it. Second, data set. Collect a lot of data, facts, figures, etc. All this. Ellakinta munche, most important I should be telling is the paper specific keywords, which I have also put it on my channel. Keywords. Every answer, if I am reading your GS2 answer, it should feel like you have written a GS2 answer. If I am reading your international relation answer, you should have keywords that are the IR keywords: strategic autonomy, strategic interests, bipolarity, multipolarity, global south, very nice, global south, then supply chain resilience, etc. So it should sound like that. For polity, separation of powers, checks and balances, doctrine of pith and substance. You should write governor powers are usually called as, if you read newspaper, they're called as gubernatorial powers. You will observe it. Then president pardoning power. Use those words. It should sound like a polity answer. Then so keywords, judgments, facts, data, figures. This will come in. Social justice will get a lot. Now fourth is, make a very good list, exhaustive list of schemes, policies, and programs. And by heart the SDGs, SDG goals 1 to 17. SDG goals itself can be a conclusion. You don't know anything how to conclude your answer for social justice or governance or anything. You just write SDG, some question on poverty, you write SDG 2, SDG 4, SDG. Committee recommendations. So that is 6. So committee recommendations, law commission recommendations, important ones. You can, I'll write it here. So 6th will be committee recommendations. Committee, you make just the list, number of committees. This committee, center state relation. This committee related to the electoral reforms, etc. You just make a notes. So committees list you make first, and then make a recommendations only, like very 2-3 recommendations, so which you can directly insert. For example, the committee on one nation, one election, with former president Ramnath Kovind, committee on one nation, one election. So you, what it said, just 2-3 points. So you make these 6 lists. Apart from that data, you make another of list of diagrams, micro diagrams or schematics, I would say. So schematics. Pardon my handwriting. It is not that bad. It is actually good. Okay, so this is broadly value addition for. So you're reading your notes, coaching notes. You are rereading them once or twice. You are reading your everyday newspaper, The Hindu or Indian Express. The Hindu, mandatorily read the editorials from both. There is something called as text and context in The Hindu. You should read it. The offline paper usually does not cover it. The online, it will be every day covered. Every day there will be a text and context. One topic will be there. It will be discussed elaborately. You can draw a lot of judgments, values, etc., keywords, etc. from that. So text and context from The Hindu and the explained series in the Indian Express. These two you have to read: editorials and context, text and context, and the explained series. So notes, newspapers, and from notes and current affairs, monthly magazines, not compilations. You are only reading the monthly magazines. So you will get a lot of value addition material from newspaper and the current affairs magazine and the notes also. So while reading only, while today let's say you start GS2 note making, you come across judgments. Whenever you are reading, you saw a keyword, you are making it, you bring that keyword in that note, online note or in your notebook. Then you come across a judgment in newspaper, you add it in that specific sheet. From notes you come across a judgment, you add that. Current affairs magazine or you come across a judgment, write in that. So this is how you slowly start compiling. You do this only for 6 months. You will have a huge, very good compilation of value addition material, which you can readily use. I feel that value addition material only you have to prepare. You cannot copy paste from a topper or institution. You can do that, but you will not have that courage to put it on paper with ease. And let's say you can go through my judgments, etc. I have written. I will only know in what context I have written this judgment. So I will know where to use it. You might only memorize it, max. You will know what this judgment is about, but you will not be at free will to write it on paper. So my advice is, do it on your own. Take inspiration from whatever I've put, but do it on your own. Then only you will be able to do it. So this should be it. That's it. I think you do this, you will write a very good GS2 answers. Anything else? Yes. Optional.
These are also my graduate subjects.
Both.
Since you are from PSIR, why should I choose PSIR over social? Please explain.
Okay. My suggestion is you choose PSIR. Why PSIR? I will say one is GS2 entire overlap. No other optional has such overlap with GS subjects or yes, entire GS2 is covered. Then you will have a lot of insights for essay and ethics easily. Then it will also cover a lot of modern history GS1 part. Then some parts of GS3 Indian economic planning, etc. So the coverage, you will have a lot of thinkers, authors, etc., which can readily used in essay and ethics. So the overlap is huge. GS2 entirely it can be covered, but the thing with PSR is lengthy and dynamic. So if you are able to follow newspapers every day and then read this, then it will be a game changer, then it will be helpful, else you will be burdened. Sociology is also a very good option, but if you are asking me, because I am also from PSI background, and because I've read PSIR, I will suggest PSIR. Initially, it might be difficult, but long term results you have more from PSIR. Like 27 or 26? 26. See, every 3-4 years, the UPSC exam will throw such papers. My suggestion was always that don't rely on weightage distribution, that ancient medieval will only get this much, let me not study it. Polity, economy will be more, so I will study more or invest a lot. Treat every subject as equal, especially when you're preparing for the first time. Prepare every subject with equal weightage, with equal authority. Then whatever surprise he throws, you will be more comfortable. So I was always safe with ancient medieval, because even though I did not like it, I never neglected it. I always gave its own due. So my suggestion is, bottom line, that is, and writing a lot of tests. Such patterns like the one that came, it would need more number of practice. Else what will happen, that you are only preparing, and the lengthy question, you will take a lot of time in reading the questions, and you will waste a lot of time there. So you have to inculcate the fact that by practicing more tests, you have to write at least 70-80 prelims tests before the actual prelims paper. So write a lot of mock tests. Do not neglect any subject. You throw away the weightage distribution, that will not going. He has shown you this year what he can do. Polity, he gave what, 5 to 10 questions, not even 10 questions, I would say. Yes, 6.
So less questions from question.
Yes. So that's what. Don't idealize any subject. Don't. I think it is a message that you should start looking at every subject with the same intent.
Also, sir, I come from non-mathematical background.
CSAT.
So I have a fear for CSAT.
First of all, even engineering students are not doing any great in CSAT. So don't have that inferiority in your mind. So the thing is,
Fully focus on comprehension, or I should
no. Again, the same thing. Everyone would go around like, I will solve 27 English comprehension. That will give me everything. This year, what he did? 22. And then those also he made very difficult one. So the bottom line is that don't over rely only on one part of the syllabus. This is not a university exam that I will choose only, pick and choose. You are not in that position to pick and choose. You are not in that position. He is the boss. You are just obliging. So you should have like priority, that maybe English comprehension can be a first. You are solving all of them. Then maybe reasoning, because reasoning is better to solve than quantitative if you are from a non-maths background. Then quantitative aptitude based on the recurrent themes. You can, because number system, every year there will be question. You cannot go to CSAT without practicing number system. So you have to solve them. And I feel that irrespective of maths or non-maths background, you have to put those efforts. Even with engineering, I told you, even with the engineering graduate, it's the same. We have read maths M1, M2, M3, M4. Still they are struggling here. So it has nothing come out of the mindset that maths background are doing much better. No. So that is not the thing. Yes. Yes. Coaching for PSR. See, it's a yes and no, because how many attempts have you given? Foundation. Then I will feel you should go, because what happens is, when I took PSIR, I already had 2 to 3 years of I had done with civil engineering background, civil engineering mains. So then I switched to PSIR. So I had a good understanding of political science international already because of the GS. Then it was easy to make the transition, but initially it will be difficult from BA background. Okay, political science. Okay, I would suggest you take, because initially, especially the syllabus is like 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B. 1A part is the foundation, but it is also the initially it will be difficult. I have not taken any foundation for GS or PSR. Yes, it is possible, but why take that chance when you are already starting new? I did not take because I did not have the time. I was already working. Now, if I am putting all my time for watching videos, then I will be not left with any time. That's why I did not go for coaching, but I would suggest you to. Anything else? Sources you have put on my Telegram group. I've told it multiple times on various YouTube channels. You can go through.
Cleared this exam without joining any coaching.
No, absolutely no coach. My association with coaching is only through test series. This was one of my favorite test series. I've sat here so many times. The Unnati open mock test series. The library here is what is was first library. So I have not taken any coaching. My association is strictly through the interview guidance programs, the test series. I've used it, the free open mock tests. So I've written a lot of open mocks here.
So not even for optional subject.
Optional subject also I started on my own. I did it only during mains. Once you clear prelims, during the mains gap, there is something called as a crash course. That I had taken. I'll be honest with that. Shubharanjan ma'am, yes. Yeah, she's the OG. Yes, yes. Anything else? This is a long session.
So when you are going to join the foundation course?
It's August 20, August 24, but we have to leave 3-4 days earlier. Yes. Anything else from the girls? Yes. Nothing. Okay. That's it. We can continue or we can wind up. We'll wind up. Okay. Yes. And yes. Huh? Specific? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, then you can ask me later. Yes. Anything else related to GS2 in general? Any other aspect of preparation? Essay. I'll be doing a session on Sunday. You can join me on that. I've got good marks last year, 124. Sadly, it got dipped by 9 marks, 105 this year. But nonetheless, I'll do a session on essay. GS3 tomorrow. I'll see who is not coming tomorrow. And I think anything else you want to ask? Nothing. GS3, I'll be doing GS3 tomorrow. 2.5 is a lot, or should I cut it a bit? It's okay. Okay, fine. Okay, done. Thank you so much. All the best. See you tomorrow. Yes.